Welcome back for our fifth and final presenter. Thank you to everyone who's been hanging out with us. We are very excited for our fifth group. With over 40 years of combined and on-the-job retail experience, Kate Mezek and Tammy Hively are co-owners of Wild Ruffle, a boutique located in downtown Prior Lake, just right down the street. They're headed in a new direction as they launch a line of products with purpose under the name The Woven Cloth. Currently in the early stages of sample production, their dream is to provide opportunity for a second chance for the underemployed here in Scott County. Please welcome Kate and Tammy.
Picture this. You're out shopping and you've got options. On the one hand is a really cute top that you know is going to look great. And on the other is a really cute top, you know it's going to look great, but it changes lives because of your purchase. Which one would you choose?
Hi, I'm Tammy Hively.
And I'm Kate Mezek.
And together, we're starting this new clothing line. With production right here in Scott County, we plan on helping provide jobs for women who would otherwise have a really hard time finding employment, giving them an opportunity for a fresh start and a second chance, all the while making quality products that we know our target market would absolutely love.
The idea for the woven cloth was born out of our desire to provide a solution to a problem we saw, where women coming out of the prison system fell victim to reoffense more easily unless they could find stability and financial security.
We've successfully run Wild Ruffle, a clothing boutique, like you were saying, in downtown Prior Lake, and as well as our online shop for the last 6 years. But recently, our hearts have been stirring to do something more with our skills and our life. And we began to think, what would a for-profit but social venture, what could that look like? And that is when the seeds of the woven cloth were planted.
There's no denying that we both have a passion for fashion, but when we get to combine that with compassion, that's what gets us really excited. Like Tammy said, we believe we can start a line of clothing with production here in Scott County and provide jobs for those women who would otherwise find difficulty finding employment, all the while creating products that our target market would be sure to love. Our typical customer is a woman aged 25 to 60, married with kids, educated, and an income of over $80,000 a year. She's a social influencer, and she shares everything she loves on her online platforms. This group of women is a big group. It adds up to 5 million people, which means our potential for growth is huge. And the great news is we're already familiar with this customer. We've connected with her on a daily basis for the last few years at our current boutique location.
Yes, and when these first ideas of the woven cloth began to take root, it seemed like nothing could slow our progress. Truly, it was really exciting. Multiple people stepped forward to connect us with the Shakopee Women's Correctional Facility, and we left the tour of their textile facility in awe. We realized, like, it actually chokes me up. It seriously was so perfect. But we realized that their skills, they are actually working on our machines that we already own, and they are becoming master seamstresses when they leave. So we're like, it's so perfect. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. It is seriously so perfect that it makes our business meaningful.
Obviously, we feel passionate about it.
Sorry.
Yes. So we rented additional production space. We moved our commercial-grade sewing machines in. Under the direction of Tammy, we found a pattern maker and started to create the line. And then we flew to LA in order to secure a fabric mill and dye factory to ensure that our products would be American-made from start to finish.
Yeah, and then COVID hit. So as you can imagine, everything stopped everywhere, including our plans. Our fabric, everything that we had purchased and visited is lost. It's got lost somewhere on the West Coast, and everything, all of our money with it. So it was very sad. Our sewing space sat empty, our machines were quiet, and yet rent kept coming. So the pandemic was unexpected to everybody, especially small businesses like ours, when we were feeling this positive growth, that's when it hit.
But rather than give up, we've gotten creative. Though our doors were physically shut to our shop for 2 months, our online shop never closes. So we added new products and creative different products to the mix and encouraged our current customer base to continue to support us, knowing that Wild Ruffle revenue was what was going to fund our new venture of the woven cloth. We're living in a new reality, and we know we need to continue to adapt. This fast-track competition gives us an opportunity for a financial boost to get us back toward our goals. We are excited to learn from new areas of expertise, like the people sitting here in front of us. And we know that money aside, it means new connections and a marketing edge that we wouldn't be able to achieve otherwise.
Absolutely. And we are currently in the process of securing a new fabric mill that is closer to home. We learned our lesson. It's already proven to be more effective in many areas. Number one is it's way better communication. There's faster shipping turnarounds. There's smaller yardage minimums, which is huge for a small business for us. So there was so many things that were directing us back closer to home. And now we're here, but we're still sampling fabric, and we're in the early stages of sewing. We're washing, wearing, and living in these items before we do a final production, because we want to ensure that our products are the best quality for our target customer. And ironically, I had already designed and sketched up some patterns, and all of them fit very nicely into this COVID trend because they were cute and cozy and comfy, but yet stylish. So we already know it's exactly what our target market wants. It's perfect. Yeah.
We know that wholesaling as a new company can be really tricky, finding those connections and pushing those sales out. But we have the advantage in having at least one boutique that is ready and willing to sell any item that we create, and that is our own, both online and in store. And we also have built some incredible relationships with other local boutique owners who have assured us that they're super excited to place orders, and they haven't even seen anything we've sketched up. So we're really excited to fulfill orders for them in the coming months. Our production facility is attached to our shop, so it means that Tammy and I are on site all the time and ready to solve for issues that may arise. And we're able to create things in small batches, which means that our financial risk remains low.
Yes, and then we have another advantage. We aren't starting from scratch. The woven cloth has already started to be launched, the tiny bit that it is, with the money that we get from Wild Ruffle, which means we can absorb costs that other startup businesses haven't even started and don't have the ability to do the way we're doing. And in a sea of clothing companies, we have a clear advantage on what sells our product. It's gonna be the story. It's the story that's gonna sell, because we know our customer wants to feel something when they're buying something. It really just adds to the whole purchasing power that women like. It's the feeling that you get from buying, and we have that story to tell. We also have been fashion experts on Twin Cities Live and Fox 9 The Buzz for the past 5-ish years. So we have that outlet to be able to market our story, and they are so good and want to help us with that. So combining that exposure with our grassroots kind of low-cost marketing, because Kate does a really good job of figuring out the algorithms that are constantly changing with social media. So we merge those two things together, which helps keep our marketing costs low, which is also why we would love some services in that area. We've already started developing our fan base based on our Wild Ruffle clientele, and they're already excited, and we haven't even launched.
So evidence shows that women are more likely to become repeat offenders unless they find stability and financial security. And our customers get to be a part of their fresh start and second chance whenever they're making their purchases. They're not only getting a quality product, they're buying into the women themselves and the lives that they'll change because of the money they're spending. Along with our story, every woman right now is they want their money to mean something. And so the story is what's going to sell it for sure. And along with that story, we have a clear picture of the steps that we need to take.
Yes, as you can see in our documents, our financial projections are super simple. They're basically our planned production and what that means. Our initial idea is to create 2 jobs in Scott County right off the bat, and then we'll increase in numbers as we grow. We're currently sewing, washing, and wearing, and our biggest challenge is finding fabric. What you see here is not a final by any means, because we have washed and worn, and it's not what we want. So we're still in the progress. We have, there might be several rounds of mock-ups that before we land on the right fabric in the right mill for our customer. The prize money would be, if we won, the prize money, we already know, would be used toward that process of building what our product would be. Our next step would then be to hire women to sew, and then our final goal is to launch the woven cloth next fall.
So we just thank you for listening to us today. We know there's a lot of other retailers and competitors out there, but we would invite you to come alongside us to help make our customers' money mean something and to lift up local women here in Scott County who really need a second chance.
Thank you.
Great presentation, very good job.
Thank you.
You know, the fact that you choked up, please don't ever apologize for being passionate about something. That no apologies necessary. I commend you on the social aspect of your business plan. I think you know, no one would argue that that is a very noble cause, and so thank you for taking it on. You know, I won't between Kristen and Angela, I won't comment, you know, too much on the clothing, but I can say I would, you know, my first initial reaction is, given COVID, leisure wear is on trend for sure. We're not dressing up to go downstairs and work on our laptop all day, so I like the mock-ups that are in front of us. A couple questions. You know, in your original business at Wild Ruffle, for example, I assume you're buying finished goods and reselling them in your shop, and so is this both your first kind of foray, if you will, into custom design and manufacturing, or?
I'll let you just speak to that.
Yeah, it has been my lifelong dream, like when I was a toddler. So I've always wanted to design my own line, and so I have that background. Majoring in college, and then I've been a buyer, and I've done everything but design a line, basically. So I'm ready to do that.
Tammy had her own line of athletic wear for a while.
I did, actually, yes, a little bit.
Oh, great,
so.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, last question for me. If you would, just tell me a little bit about the labor component. I don't think you said it exactly the way I thought about it, but so in the correctional facility, did I hear that there are seamstresses? Oh my gosh, I can't say that word. That you can keep busy with this line. Is that accurate?
So there's actually a textile facility within the Shakopee Correctional Facility, and they go through a master seamstress certification while they're in there. It's a program that they have in order to help them find employment afterward. Mm-hmm. And so they come out knowing how to sew, I mean, better than anyone else we could find.
Oh, so they're not actually sewing, you're not keeping them busy through the woven cloth line until they come out of the correctional facility?
Correct.
Okay, that wasn't clear for me, I understand. And so your business model, the labor component then for that seamstress, they would be making a living wage, for example, immediately, you know, assuming they're good, right?
Yes. Right.
Immediately coming out of the correctional facility based on the demand that you have for that service.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I likewise appreciate your passion and your emotion, and certainly think that it comes through showing how genuine you are really about this business venture and wanting to get back to the community, and you know, loving your community and loving the people within it isn't something to apologize for. So I appreciate that you've composed yourself, but the emotion is welcomed. I did want to ask you a little bit about the sewers. Is this something that you're anticipating they'll only work at your facility, or is this something that at some point maybe you would have kind of a fleet of home-based sewers?
We've talked about that possibility as we grow. Our current space holds 2 of the commercial sewing machines and then several other small ones, and then a cutting table. So once we grow to a certain capacity, we would have to explore opportunities like that where someone is either sewing pieces from home, or we would have to expand our space, which obviously is an additional cost.
Yes, so that's what we've discussed. The other thing is, once it gets so big, the Shakopee facility actually takes in accounts too. So if we got to that point, we could then go in-house, and they can also, because they have other accounts like Clothier, and they have different accounts that are in there already. So that's also options for growth.
Okay. And then in terms of marketing, I think at one point you spoke about other boutiques being excited about carrying your line. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that from a competitive standpoint, right? Because you have your own online store. You're not just, going to be a manufacturer. Is there a competitive concern from that other boutiques might not want to carry your line because they might lose customers who then would go to your online store or might come into your brick and mortar store?
I think that's something that most wholesalers run into. The majority of wholesalers that we work with also have an online store where you could buy their products at full price. So it's not something that would be a new idea. And certainly we would zip code protect, so it wouldn't be other
It wouldn't be other
boutiques.
downtown part.
Yeah,
downtown.
it wouldn't be like Prior Lake would suddenly be selling the woven cloth in every shop. So
Right.
it would be, I mean, the relationships we've built are people who are
Aware.
around the Twin Cities, and even, a little further up north. So it wouldn't be a direct competition unless they visited the online shop itself.
And
So it could be a win-win opportunity.
right. Yep.
Right.
I'm just wanting to understand the business model a little bit in terms of what you talked about, inventory, small batch inventory. Certainly with retail, though, it's very seasonal. So what's in this season and kind of next season. Give me some idea about really how much do you have to sell in a season or a period of time in terms of how you're making your inventory commitments. What do those kind of thresholds really kind of look like in terms of how the business has to grow based on how you're buying materials and inventory, and what that might look like for the design for this season, or how that needs to translate from season to season?
I can speak to it for a little bit. One of our main things, so you're talking, the first point you said was the trends, and you do have to transfer, right? And then you have clearance and all of the things. A lot of our styles that we're trying to design are very clean and classic. So they have a fashion piece to it, but it's not going to be trendy. So we feel like we're not going to get to that point. It would be maybe a color would be an issue. This isn't a color that you're seeing. We ordered like a crazy color so we could see what that looked like, because we're mostly going to be the blacks, the charcoals, the norm.
With pops of color.
With pops of
for fun.
color, yes, yep, just to have some fun. But it's not going to be the main thing, so it's not. So that's going to be that's our challenge, right? But that one we're trying to hedge with just our styling and the colors, in way of producing for the next. Was your next question? It was how much.
I guess really what I'm kind of trying to get at is, keeping it fresh.
Yes.
But how that translates to the inventory commitments you have to make about fabric and risk, and how you've really built that into your financial model.
So it's gonna be a work in progress. I'm not gonna lie. That's something we're gonna have to roll with. And so far, we're just jumping in, and we'll see what we have to adjust after that. We're planning to do, like, for instance, 36 units of this top in one color, so 5 different colors.
Sure.
So we're keeping it limited so we can handle it, which means like six unit, like whatever, the size run, I'm sorry, that was size one. But so we're trying to keep it smaller, but yet doable.
Until we can get
Until we
to
can grow
the next growth point.
more.
And the way that you buy your inventory allows you to do that.
Yes.
Yes, and we are funding ourselves, like we keep saying. Our bankroll is basically Wild Ruffle. So we won't be shutting those doors. We will still be selling all of the things that we have in there right now. We will just be adding our little chunk to it. It'll be its own little story inside our shop. So it helps with growing pains, and we're not just sitting on stuff, and it just helps with marketing and things.
Great, thank you.
Judges, we have about 1 minute left for questions.
I'll be really quick. I love the name, and I love the tagline. When is the launch?
Next fall, we're hoping.
There you go.
I guess I focus on the numbers to some extent, and I'm looking at, if you'd hit your 5-year target, I think 1,780 pieces, how many like full-time jobs is that? If you're talking about,
Yeah, I don't know.
I worked it out, it was about 24 weeks for one person. So I was just looking at, if you're kind of from the story perspective,
Right.
it's a very noble ambition, but the reality doesn't tend to pan out, at least from my,
Yeah.
from
So the
your projections and your numbers, that's all I was.
Yeah. I mean, when you're jumping into any new business, I know that there's like a lot of unknowns and it's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen with that. And you're talking to two people who are really creative, and numbers is not like our favorite thing. So we know we're going to have to
Clearly.
come alongside other people with that area of expertise, because we need to be devoting our time and talent to the areas in which we excel. And being honest, like, my financials. I mean, Tammy's great at Excel, but it only goes so far. So we know that's an area that we need to learn more in, for sure.
And we do, but to validate your question, like, we do have room to grow in our shop, and we can also take over more of our shop. So it's not just where our machines are right now. We would have to buy new machines. We already own some. We would just have to be adding to that, and we do have room to grow. And then after that, we do have more space if we can't find a factory or can't afford the factory, because that's obviously a lot. We can move some of our production back into the Shakopee Correctional Facility too. So it is, yes, exactly. Yep, and yes. So we do have some wiggle room in it. So we don't tend to worry too much, because things just, we work hard, but. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hopefully. Yes, thank you.
Tammy and Kate, thank you so much. That was wonderful.